Welcome to Target Archery UK, where I'm going to go through setting up the centre shot for your bow. It's going to make sure that the arrow gets away from the bow nice and cleanly without any sort of interference and just gets a nice smooth shot going away. And it's going to help with your accuracy, it's going to help with your consistency, which is what we're all after at the end of the day. The main thing we're going to be working on is this thing down here, the pressure button. We're going to be making sure that it's in the right position. We're not too worried about the pressure or the tension behind it. That's something that we'll come to later. At the moment, it's purely about setting it in the right place to make sure the arrow is lined up nicely and gets away from the bow nice and cleanly. So when you're setting up your center shot, this is the view that you're going to want to have, looking straight down the back of the bow with the string lined up between the center of the strings and the center of your riser. Put an arrow on there. You don't want to be using a clicker, because the clicker, when you take the shot, your clicker's moved out of the way and has no effect on the arrow, so you want to tune the bow in this sense without that clicker, because it's going to be the arrow in the state it will be in when it's released. And as you can see, looking straight down the back of the bow, you can just about see the arrow tip slightly to the left of the string, which is how we want to have it. This is essentially how you want to have it set up. This is how I have mine set up at the moment. This is how I'm shooting it at the moment. And it's working really well for me. The bow is shooting incredibly nice. And I'm pretty sure the bow is a lot more accurate than I am at the moment. So as I said, this is the button that I'm shooting with at the moment. I don't really want to go messing about with it too much, because it is set up nicely and it is shooting nicely at the moment. So, you know, I don't want to adjust it, don't want to go messing with it. So what I'm going to do instead is I'm going to be using this one. This is the SF button that came with this riser when I got it. I did eventually upgrade it to the Shibuya button that I've got there when I did the Spigorelli rest as well. And yeah, it definitely is a much nicer button, a much more consistent one. But we'll put this one in because it shouldn't be set up for this bow, because last time I used this was before I put the rest in and before I changed to the skinnier arrows. So it should be fairly out of tune. So all I'm going to do is remove the button I've got in at the moment. And with most buttons, in fact I've not seen any that don't have it, you have the two parts. This end part is the bit that we use for adjusting the pressure and the tension in the spring at the end. We're not looking at that at the moment. We'll come on to that in a later part. But this one is the collar, and essentially you can set that. You can use this bolt to tighten it up so it doesn't move, and that way I know that when I next put it back in, as long as I tighten it up against that collar, it's going to be sat in exactly the same place. And that's essentially what we're going to be setting on this one, because that collar is not going to be in quite the right place. So I'm just going to put it in to start with and see roughly where it's sitting. So at the moment it is barely touching the arrow, so we really need to push it a lot further out. So what we're going to do is rotate this round till we can see that collar again. And what I tend to do is just undo that collar, but keep the Allen key in there. With that held there, you can then just tighten this up, going clockwise, or just keep going, keep going, keep going. Once we've got it where we think we want it, and there's going to be a little bit more to go once we tighten this collar up against the side of that rest there. As I come back round, okay, we still need to go a bit further. So find myself that bolt again, loosen it off, and then I'm just going to keep tightening. Okay, still need a bit more movement to go. So I'm going to loosen that bolt off. Well, another option you can do is just unscrew the collar with your fingers and move it down the plunger, and then just tighten it up. And that is looking like we're getting pretty close to where we need to be. So just a little bit more maybe. Okay, so now I've got it where I want it to be. I'm going to carefully loosen this off until I can see that bolt again. And I'm going to tighten that up, which is going to stop this collar moving again. And now when I tighten this back in, tighten it up against that collar, there we go. And that is the center shot set up nicely there. So it's quite an easy thing to set up. It's more just a case of knowing how you need to have it set up and what you need to do to get it there. But it's not difficult. It's one of the really easy things to tune with a bow. And it is going to really help you when it comes to tuning the other parts of the bow, because it's going to give you a solid, consistent sort of base for your arrows to tune from. So if this video has been useful for you, please don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button. It really does help me out with the channel. If you have any comments, leave them down below, and I will try and answer as many of them as I can. It is something that I recommend you set up with your bow sort of as soon as you get it, and definitely when you change your button, or if you change your arrows in particular. It is going to give the arrows, it is going to let the arrows get away from the bow a lot more consistently, a lot more smoothly. And when it comes to doing some of the other sort of tunings, so sort of your bare shaft tuning, looking at the button pressure and looking at your knocking points, it's going to help out when it comes to that, because you're going to have that sort of foundation to begin with. So I'm going to put this one back in my bow before I forget and end up shooting with the wrong button. And I'm going to head out to the ranges again. See you next time.